What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We are continuing on the C10 project, and today we got to tackle the catch can and the power steering. Well, let me show you what we're going to be using. Check it out, fellas. The good old go-to Motion Raceworks catch can and our custom brackets that we actually offer on the website. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. When I'll talk to you guys about this specific catch can, this is Motion Raceworks' new two-stage catch can. Now, it's a little bit different than the traditional ones that we normally use, that we just kind of plumb to the valve covers and then leave everything else basically blocked off and sealed up. But check this thing out. This thing, I mean, it's been out for a little bit now with them, but this is our first time using it. And it's definitely different than basically like the one we have on the Chevelle, the ones we've done on other Chevelles and things like that. But this is got like this crazy like one-way valve in here, which is different. And then check that bad boy out right there. This is quite a hefty built engineered catch can for sure. Now obviously you have your standard filter that goes on top, but you can also get this catch can so you can get it with the different top. Like this one's going to be just vented to atmosphere, obviously hints of the filter, but you can get the one that actually plumbs back into the in tank, which I'm not a fan of. I like the vent to atmosphere. I mean, sometimes you get the little steam coming out of there and everything. If you're okay with that, that's, again, it's totally your preference. You can get it, plumb it back into the in tank. But this one's going to be a little bit different setup. This is our vacuum line here, and then our crankcase pressure / venting from the AN fitting here. And then even on this side, let me move some of this stuff around. This side. So this is basically the standard can, bottom of the actual catch can, like the other ones do. But they also include this little like baffle, and then obviously this little wire brush to kind of catch some of that stuff and oil and keep it from splashing back out. Now on the old setups, they didn't have any of that, so which is kind of interesting. If I could keep that thing. So this thing goes down at the bottom, sits down there on a little flange down there, and then obviously you have this guy that just kind of sits in there. But interesting for sure. Reason why we chose this catch can for this particular setup, we really didn't want to do anything extra as far as fabrication goes or get a custom set of valve covers. So this is kind of why we chose this one. I'll show you guys how we end up plumbing this here in a little bit. It is different for a turbo setup versus NA. We're doing NA today, of course, but I want to show you guys what we're going to be using to mount this thing, because they provide this little bracket like that, which is fine. It works, you know, if you want to put it on the firewall or something like that. But I am all about obviously serviceability and being discreet, trying to keep it as clean as possible. So if you guys are new to the channel, we've been doing this for quite a few years now, and we've always used the Motion Raceworks catch cans, and we built this custom bracket basically for the cylinder heads, to mount them to the cylinder heads, and that's kind of what we're going to be doing today. But this is basically, if you guys decide to get a bracket from us, you'll get this guy like this here. Now when we sell them on the website, it'll say driver side and passenger side, and it's based off the front cylinder head. So if you go to the website and you order, it says driver or passenger. So this one's specifically set up for the passenger side, so it'll mount to the front of the cylinder head like that, and it'll have basically your catch can that'll sit that way. Now if you choose a passenger side, this flange will actually bend it for you the opposite way, so it'll point towards the firewall. So just keep that in mind. But what the cool thing about it is, depending on how you want to route yours, you'll end up obviously picking driver, passenger. For example, if this is on the passenger side head like that and the can is pointing towards the firewall, you can actually use this one also on the driver side rear of the head, and vice versa. So if you get the one for the driver side, this flange will obviously be bent the opposite way, and then you can mount it basically on the back of the passenger side with the catch can facing towards the front of the truck. I'll show you guys in a little bit. Here is a prime example, but what we did, we've already powder coated ours because we actually modified it a little bit, and that's the beauty of these brackets. You guys can do whatever you want with them, and we modified it a little bit to give us a little bit of extra clearance, because we're putting this on the back of the passenger side head, and you can see not normal. We put a couple extra bends in it just because we had some firewall clearance issues. I'll show you guys here in a sec. But this one is a just universal bracket, and this one will come just the way you see it. It'll come just nice and straight. You can mount whatever you want. Maybe you have a different catch can that you want to try to mount to that, or in our case, we're going to be mounting our power steering there on the opposite side, on the driver's side. This one we just went ahead and put a 90-degree bend in it just so we can actually mount this guy down here. We'll mount the actual power steering reservoir to that bracket. I'll show you guys here in a sec. We're going to add a little Loctite, obviously, to the back bolts there that are going to go to the bracket, to the cylinder head there, just to make sure that thing doesn't move on us, because, of course, the motor vibrates, as you guys know. Also a little Loctite as well on the bracket to the catch can as well, just to make sure that thing is nice and secure. So you're going to have your crankcase line and your vacuum line. As you can see on the crankcase side, we're just going to the valve cover. We're actually utilizing the actual oil filler cap. Had my buddy weld us up a bung to the oil filler cap there for the AN line that's going to go there. That is a -10. And then on the vacuum side, it's just going to be a 3/8 line that's actually going to plumb right back into the intake there, the port that you have right behind the throttle body. 3/8 line there. The only thing you're going to want to do is, once you're all finished, said and done, is you're going to have the one stock valve cover breather on the passenger side head. You can just cap that off. You shouldn't be needing that anymore with this new catch can setup. So on the other side, the fresh air side, that Motion Raceworks wants you to plumb the driver's side valve cover to the actual cold air intake. So we actually, same thing, we had to weld on a bung there with a barb fitting for a 3/8 line. What I also did on the driver's side, you guys noticed that the breather line from the stock valve cover there is actually normally clocked towards the firewall, but all I did is I took a screwdriver, put it in there and just turn it. The wheel turn. All you got to do is turn it in the opposite direction towards the core support, and that gives us a nice straight shot to the cold air intake. Now here we're going to be doing the power steering bracket, but obviously we do have to remove the alternator just to make sure we get the bracket in there first, because it is very tight in there. So you're definitely going to have to remove the alternator, obviously belt with that, but everything could go back as soon as it is all mounted. Not too shabby, fellas. Nice and clean, simple, out of the way. Everything is locked and ready to go. You can see on this side that we had the actual power steering reservoir mounted up. You saw that we actually had to remove the alternator just to get that bracket in there, but not a big deal. but everything is good to go. Obviously, we got to finish the rest of the plumbing for here, and yeah, pretty much it. Give you guys a better look at that reservoir. Check it out, pretty clean. Once again, fellas, we got a lot of work to do still here, but again, I am happy with what's going on here. Now we have the power steering for the most part accounted for. All we got to do is plumb it, get the lines going. I already had the lines made up. And then this guy, like I said, it's all done. It's clean. It's out of the way. You can still get to the bottom of the drain on that catch can, or just screw it off if you need to check it during oil changes and things like that. Very happy with this setup. Like, if you guys are interested in these brackets, again, check them out at gooseperformance.com. I do have them on the website. And just make sure you guys select the correct bend orientation for the catch can. Again, if you are looking at the motor, it's based off the front of the motor. So if you're mounting it on the passenger side, it's going to have the catch can facing towards the firewall. Same thing on the driver's side. But again, you can take that, like our bracket technically is supposed to be for the driver's side, because if you take that bracket and you turn it on this side, it ends up pointing that way. So that's the benefit. So if you select passenger side, you can use it on the front valve cover pointing towards the firewall, and you could use it on the driver's side back of the head pointing towards this way. But of course, in this situation, we definitely cannot do that just because brake booster and everything else is there. But again, every build is different, but check them out, gooseperformance.com. Well, fellas, I think that's going to do it for this video, you guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, the like button, and hit the bell for notifications. You guys already know, stay wrenching.